Welcome back to the K&D Exchange. You are now listening to a new series called Stereo Talks, where we go live on the Stereo app every Thursday at 8 p.m. to discuss a wide range of topics outside our usual album discussions. You can follow us on the app, myself at KAEDEE94 and David at D_A_RENOIR. Drop in your voice notes, be part of the conversation, and yeah, let's get it every Thursday. Peace.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be muting myself a lot, I think, because I'm going to be coughing.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait a bit or should we?
Well, yeah, man, let's just get into it, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. All right. Do we intro these? Yeah. Fuck it. If you're tuned in, if you're tuned in, welcome to another live show from the K&D Exchange. This is this is like our third one now, I think. Yeah, third. I think.
Yeah, this is our third one. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So for people who've been tuning in and dropping your voice notes and stuff, we really appreciate it. And for anyone who's new listening, you can drop your voice notes in. Be part of the conversation. We respond in real time, etc. And yeah, just have a listen into what we're saying. Next week, we usually do this every Thursday, 8 p.m. Next week, Thursday, we will be skipping it because it is my birthday. And so I probably won't be able to jump on. But then we will be continuing as usual the week after that. So yeah, David, I want you to start off. I want you to kick off this topic today because it's something we've kind of talked about off air a few times. And yeah, I feel like you this is kind of your bag, This is something you've wanted to really dive into, So yeah,
well,
you
say
go
that.
off.
It's something that I feel I don't know, like it can be the subject of like ridicule or dismissal from a lot of people, right? But I do think that artists are sensitive kind of people, and this isn't something that I've really researched or anything like that. I'm just putting, I'm connecting dots.
Sure.
And I'm just sort of saying what I see, kind of thing, like catchphrase. But what we're going to be speaking about today is the more esoteric kind of nature of the music industry.
Sure.
So by esoteric, we mean the sort of like more darker side, the kind of spiritual side as well of the music game. Like you've got mega famous people. Think about it: Jay-Z, Beyonce, Eminem, Bob Dylan, goodness, and countless other ones, right? And all these guys have actually, well, not all of them, but some of them have alluded to making a deal or selling their soul, like they've actually said it in interviews or through their lyrics and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just something that kind of in the wake of Lil Nas X's like video as well, I just wonder, is it something that's actually, are we being told like there are darker forces at play in the music industry or not? So yeah, that's kind of the subject matter of this chat. Yeah, man. Like, so what do you think about it? Like, where do you stand on this kind of stuff? Like,
your voice is so much clearer now, by the way. But but so I don't know if you've switched up your settings or anything. But where do I stand on this? I don't know. Like I remember back in the day, there was always these like YouTube like conspiracy theories that we'd send around to each other when we were about 15, 16. And it would always be about they would like pick out certain lyrics and certain songs and allude to certain interviews, and then they would zoom in on like an artist's face and be like, look at the face that they just made there, and they just did this, and they alluded to this, and the music industry is corrupt, and it's, you know, it's, I don't know, there's like devil worshippers in there and all that sort of shit, and all that Illuminati stuff as well. And for me, I don't know, like if we're going to talk about like darker forces at play and stuff like that, it's also, I think there's this, you have to presuppose what your belief system is anyway. So like for me, I don't really know where I stand on even in just in normal life believing in stuff like, I don't know, the devil and demons and ghosts and all that sort of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's something I'm fully subscribed to in terms of belief. Like, what about you? Are you? This is something I've never really asked you before, but like, are you? Do you believe in that kind of stuff? Are you religious? Are you not religious? Like, what's your, you know, would you consider yourself
So
spiritual, or like what?
yeah, I mean, I would say, I wouldn't say that I'm religious. Definitely spiritual. I do think that there is. I do actually think there's God.
Sure.
I think that I've had experiences though, so it's like, you know what I mean. Like I've had experiences which has kind of pointed my focus and my face towards that kind of belief system, and I guess that, like, you know, it's something that I'm always so conscious of, because like I talk about it and I don't mind talking about it, but I don't want to be one of them people that's like trying to convert everyone. So I kind of keep it on the low.
I know.
All I know is, you know, I've had experiences which basically the only way that I can describe, you know, the experience is like, well, there must be something bigger than me going on here. There's got to be, and maybe I'm ascribing a universal force, like with the name God. Like I don't know, but whether there's a being, we don't really know. I think
Sure.
one of my biggest fears actually is upon death, like when I'm dying and realizing, like, hang on a minute, I've had it all wrong. That's one of my biggest fears. So I don't know, like I wouldn't say that I'm religious, you know, because, you know, I grew up as a Roman Catholic, so I was always going to church and stuff like that. So I've definitely had Catholicism and the ideals of that instilled in me, and I guess that it's definitely, you know, helped in my worldview, and has definitely helped me as an individual. Like, you know, it's helped me to understand that like some shit is wrong. But yeah, to be honest,
that's interesting.
That's where I stand.
When you said your greatest fear is upon dying realizing you've got it wrong, do you mean it wrong in the sense of there not being a God, or that you've kind of believed in the wrong thing, or like, because, you know, some people might say like, oh, I might have got it wrong and therefore there is a God, but it's like not it's not like I didn't live my life according to the way I should have, like I chose the wrong, you know, some people think that there's like a right religion and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like what did you mean? Did you mean that you'd find out, you'd think like, oh, there's no God, or what?
Yeah. What if there's an eternal, endless black void upon death? Like, then what is the point of life?
Right.
It's,
Bro,
but I think
all
like
the time.
I'm quite lucky in the sense that like I do think, I don't know, like if I'm gonna come off like how I'm gonna come off. No, maybe I won't scare people away, but like I do think there is something other. I do think that, like, you know, the sheer fact that science can't really, you know, science can map 87% of the human genome, right? They can tell you where your cells came up from. They can, you know, understand it, but there's about like 12 to 13% of it that they've got no idea what it is, and they think that that's the genetic markers for the human soul. And like maybe, like, you know, we are both, you know, spiritual beings as well as physical beings, and once the physical sort of dies, the metaphysical, the spiritual, like lives on somewhere else in a sort of higher plane of existence. Like we live in a 3D world, maybe our souls ascend to the, I don't know, the fourth or fifth dimension. I'm literally spitballing, like I don't know, I'm just coming up with this now.
I feel you. I mean, I'm not on the other extreme where I just think, you know, I'm not arrogant enough to think. Well, no, I don't want to say the word arrogant, but like I'm not gonna sit here and act like this is it, and we know absolutely everything there is, and therefore anything else doesn't exist outside of that. Just, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and just because, yeah, there might be an explanation for how things work, but that doesn't necessarily negate something more being there. You know, like, you know, obviously I don't want to go too far off into this because we want to jump back into the music industry and all that sort of stuff. But like,
for real,
yeah. But like, you know, when people say things like if you use the evolution argument, yes, you can use that to negate, you know, to an extent, creationism or whatever like that. But, you know, I think there's a lot of people that like, who are those guys like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and stuff? Great intellectuals, great scientists or writers or whatever, but they're not very good philosophers. You know what I mean?
agreed.
Like, they use very simplistic arguments when talking about God, or they find ways of logically breaking down religion. Great, cool. But it's like,
Yeah,
we're talking like that. What all the things that you've said doesn't negate the existence of God, or it doesn't negate the kind of experience of these people who this has happened to, or whatever. And of course, a lot of these things can be explained. Like for me, for example, I always seem to find credible kind of reasons to explain like people's ghost stories, things like that. And so for me, there's always like a logical explanation for why people, like, I think that people see or think that they experience that kind of thing. But then again, at the same time, I'm open to the fact that I could just be wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and
that's cool.
Yeah, but to me, it's like I've just never had that experience. And, you know, sometimes I've been in the same environments as these people, and it's like why do I never seem to experience any of this stuff? It's almost as if, like, because I'm not looking for it, I don't see it. But then that's another argument. Oh, well, you have to be tuned into it. So then it's like it becomes a bit of a gray area. You know, you can't really logically debate that kind of stuff. But back to like the music industry, I guess, yeah, like the reason I wanted to start with kind of presupposing what you believe in the first place, I guess that will kind of then change your perception as to what a lot of this stuff means, like things like you know, selling your soul to the devil, or doing kind of shady deals and stuff, because you might see that as literal, or you might see that as quite kind of like metaphorical, you know, selling your soul, doing a deal with the devil. You know, you kind of gave away yourself for money and material things, and you changed your music up because you stopped caring about it. Like if I lose my passion, and you know, we talked in our last episode about our last live show, I was saying that me doing music is so tied to my identity and kind of how I live my life, that if suddenly someone offered me, I don't know, fame and riches and all that stuff, and I just said yes, and I gave up all my creative rights and all my creative freedom and expression, I'm basically selling my soul, right? I'm giving myself away, right? Suddenly saying I don't care about my identity and stuff. I'm not making a literal deal with the devil. You know, it depends how people will see it, right? I mean, when we talk about like, okay, so on a kind of more topical sense, we're talking about Lil Nas X. What do you think? Have you seen the video?
I've seen, I think, a couple of minutes of it.
Yeah,
I've seen like 2/3 of it.
Yeah, I've seen the important parts, or the parts that people were pressed over.
Yeah.
What's your take on that whole thing? Are you that familiar with Lil Nas X as well?
Not particularly. I've seen him like popping around on Twitter and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
In all fairness, I think there was a tweet that I received, right? And a tweet that I saw, and it basically said, you don't have to be religious to know that Satan is bad vibes. And I think that's it in a nutshell. I think that's it in a nutshell. To be honest, like with something, you know, when he's doing his, like, you know, his Satan shoes, you know, with the pentagrams, and the, you know, the drop of blood, and he's only making 666 of them. Like, for me personally, I don't think it's cool. I don't think that it should really be getting the press that it should. Like, this might be me being an old parent or whatever, but I don't personally think that,
I don't think it's good, like as in for the public psyche, or
Right.
or anybody's psyche really.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I'm not like the authority of the world, but I don't get a good feeling from it, and that's the thing. That's something that I've started to live by is if it feels wrong, then it probably is, and it just feels wrong. But I'm
Sure.
not very informed on, like,
Right.
I don't know him as an artist. I don't know his backstory or anything like that. I've never studied him. All I know is he did that country song, right?
Yeah, the Old Town Road.
Old time. That's the only thing I know of him. So
Sure.
apart from that, like, he's just another name. Before we press on, we have 4 voice notes. I'm
I was just about
conscious.
to say, should we jump into them?
Alrighty. Oh, it's
Yeah,
John.
let's
Right,
do
John.
that.
Yeah, you do know it's Maundy Thursday today, Dave.
Fucking hell. Yes, it is.
Hey guys, I thought I'd share my story. Right, in 2017, I had a stroke. I was paralysed on the left side down. I was going through a divorce, and that's still ongoing, but I won't get into that. When I was paralysed, and basically I could have died, but I didn't, thankfully. There was a blockage in my brain. The nurses helped me. And at first I was very angry and going, why is this happening to me? But now as I've got older and wiser, I realise life is more than money. If you die, you can't take money with you. And the way life is supposed to be is to respect one another, talk to one another, not get angry, and just get on with life in a very pragmatic way. It's easy to...
Wow.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that. Obviously, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
him, but wow. I mean, where I thought that story was going to go was that he was going to say that he had like one of those like near death experiences that people have where like they left their body and they were able to hear what the doctors were saying and stuff like that, even though they were like out cold or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Have you
Yeah,
heard
true
like
story.
those kind of stories? Yeah. I mean, there's a whole thing on Netflix even called like Surviving Death or something like that, where they look into
Yeah.
that. But I haven't watched it. But yeah, because that stuff's kind of weird. Because as to your science point earlier about not being able to account for everything, there's certain things that haven't been accounted for, certain experiences, and
Yeah. Like shared dreams, mate.
I was just about to say, not even just shared dreams, but like shared near-death experiences when there's like a group of
True
people
that.
who have I don't know, like sometimes I think I saw a story about like firefighters or something who uh they were all what was that? I can't remember. They were all in basically a group of people in the same place who had the same issue where basically from an outside perspective everyone saw them and effectively saw them as dead, but they all had a shared experience which they then were able to corroborate with each other. And it's like, again,
Yeah,
you
mate.
have to break down the validity of the story and their story, individual stories, and if there's no kind of, your memories can change and things like that and adapt to what you think they were and things like that. But yeah, I thought the story was going to go there, but I mean, that's a kind of that's a perspective shifter, isn't it? I mean, like suddenly all that stuff kind of
Yeah.
goes out the window when you go through some shit like that, like
He's
materialistic things.
very much a hero of mine because just how chilled John is. I actually can't believe I can't believe it because genuinely me, like, I can be quite fiery. But yeah, no, honestly, we appreciate you sharing that, mate. Like, thank you
Sure,
very
man.
much. We'll move on. Mia B.
Cool.
Are you guys famous?
Yes, super famous.
Oh, I wish we were.
What are you talking about? We're royalty in the UK. She sounds American, so she wouldn't know.
Yeah,
But
do that.
we're making our way.
Okay, yeah. I mean, tell all your friends. We have a podcast, and we release that every Tuesday, and we swap albums. So it could be rock, could be hip hop, R&B, jazz, whatever. Tune in, and hopefully you can help us be famous. Yay!
In the US. Facts. Yes.
Yeah,
But
man,
no,
for
we're
real.
not.
And like we know,
Yeah.
we know
We're
that
not
the US like sultry UK voices. So that's cool.
Exactly. Yo, David,
All right.
is your mic covered or something or anything?
No, it's not.
Okay, it just sounds a little bit
Muffled.
muted. Like my phone's on full volume.
Man, seriously, this phone is so annoying sometimes. It's meant to be like the latest Samsung Galaxy S20 or something like that. I've had nothing but issues. Anyway,
Bro, go
last
back to
one,
Apple.
Johnny.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I'm not going to be one of the sheeple, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's cool, Lil Nas. I don't know whether it's for attention and things, but it is interesting. It is getting people talking, but I think it's people talking because of how different it is to the world or controversial it is to the world and people's views, but also how people agree with it as well. But nowadays people seem oppressed about a lot of things, so it's interesting. I'm not really sure what to think of it, but yeah.
Look, for me, I understood what he was trying to do metaphorically because he's clearly, like, even before this, he's always been a troll on Twitter. He's just got a funny sense of humor. And when he came out as gay, like after Old Town Road blew up, he came out as gay. Like, did you know he was gay?
No.
Okay, yeah, so he's gay. He's just openly gay, right? And he's one of the first kind of, we were talking about, I think I did mention him when we talked about, like, in our female rappers discussion, and I talked about gay rappers. I think I might have mentioned him, but
Oh, I
yeah,
don't remember. Oh, so he's going to hell anyway then. So
basically this well, yeah, right, but this is a response to that, because that's the kind of thing he's been told his whole life, right? And that he's had to, because he's
I
like,
see.
he falls into these different brackets of oppression, right? So he's black and he's gay, right? So
yeah, definitely.
Right, already then that's quite a lot for him to then have to be able to navigate through the world as, and neither of those things he can control, and yet the world is treating him negatively for it, right? So I think this whole point, and the thing is, like, he's the one playing Satan in the thing, and he's basically saying it fits in with his personality and his kind of sense of humor, where it's like, if you lot are telling me I'm going to go to hell anyway, fine, all right, I'm gonna do it, and he just goes and does it, and then he's extremely provocative by doing the lap dance and everything, like, it's kind of just a big fuck you to everyone, and he even says on Twitter, he's like, he openly replies to people on Twitter, and he will be saying, like, yo, it's like people are saying, like, he's mocking God, and he's like, how am I mocking God? If anything, I'm mocking Satan. Like, I'm the one giving him the lap dance, and he's just kind of sitting there, like, everything's in my control here. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, for me, I wonder if I keep trying to wonder what everyone is actually the most pressed about. Is it the lap dance? Is it the overt kind of sexuality, like the sexual themes of it? Is it the fact that it's Satan in there? Like, what is it that is getting people kind of charged up about this?
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Do you know what it is? I think I understand what it. I've just had a light go off in my head, right? So all I've seen is this, on a superficial level. A, I didn't know he was gay. B,
right,
I just thought he was another sort of like empty, airheaded, like idiot.
Oh no.
But like in finding out, in like just listening to you talk, I think what the really cool thing is that he's trying to be subversive. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, you know an an expression of art, but it's also, yeah, it might be a response to, because like in the black community, like even my uncles and my family now, we're living in the 21st century, but God forbid, like, if I or any of my cousins or my siblings were gay, like my uncles, man, because they're old school now, like it wouldn't be
Rough.
cool, like, at all, right?
Me, man. It's the same with my family too.
And that's the thing. I remember when, like, it was literally one Christmas day, like one of my uncles was like, "Are you gay?" I was like, "What?"
Wait,
I was
how old are
like,
you?
20. I was like 21.
Oh, so you weren't like married or anything? Because I'm like, that's
No, no.
a funny question to ask. Like,
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, no, I
I'm
remember,
just
like, I was just
checking.
like, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Because I've just come back from uni, and you know what I mean? I've
Yeah,
learned how to be with ladies at that point.
sure.
And I was like, wait a minute, where's this coming from? Because
Yeah.
I've got like quite a good diction, and I can speak quite well, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I have,
Yeah.
a good command of the English language, but like, basically that might have meant that I was a bit, I was gay. And I remember I said to him, like, hey man, like, well, if I was, what business is it of yours? And
Mm.
B, like, if me being gay would make you love me less, then I don't need you in my life. This is Christmas Day. And he was like,
Facts.
oh, but are you? And I was like, no. And I go and talk to my mum and sod off. And like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. But yeah, true
Crazy.
stories that happened. And that's something that, if Little Nas X has had experiences like that for being gay, like, he doesn't strike me as a person that would hide then in that, or maybe he was closet for a long time, and then came out, and once he was out, he was all the way out. And so maybe it is an
Yeah.
expression of art and subversion. um yeah, but the thing is, there are ways to do it. I don't know, when it comes to such figures, like, you couldn't portray God like, hello, you had to go with the most evil thing in the world. It's like,
I guess,
and you're
yeah.
doing the Satan clues, and you're doing the 666. I mean, come on, it's bad. It's bad vibes, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends, in it, like what you kind of I guess if he's trying to be subversive and he's kind of trying to make his point, then go to the extreme, in it. He knows what is going to get people pressed. When we talk about, like, on the podcast, we talk about Eminem and how back in the day, now it feels like he says things just for shock value, whereas back in the day he
Yeah,
was kind of holding a mirror up to everyone. I feel like this is an example of holding a mirror up to everyone, because when you really examine it and you sit there and I saw a tweet which said, imagine people getting pressed over Satan when they're the one who made him up. Like, and of course it depends on what you believe, right? But it's just kind of interesting, because it's like, that's what it's. I don't know how to put this into words. Maybe I'm still ingrained in this idea that I need to be respectful because I'm talking about someone's religion or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But whereas I sometimes don't know where I fall on that, because sometimes I'm like, look, if I can sit here and, like, tear down somebody's political view, and no one really comes in, like, and gets defense, like, no one comes into, do you know what, I don't know if I'm making that clear. Like, if I tear down someone's political beliefs, I don't feel like people are going to come into the conversation and say, oh, you can't say that, those are his political beliefs. Whereas if I kind of counter someone on their religious beliefs, you'll have people jump in and say, yo, you can't say that, that's their religious beliefs, no matter how harmful those religious beliefs may be to other people. Does that make sense?
I think it's the nature of the relationship of self to both of those things. So with
Yeah,
political values and political beliefs, like, they are more easily subject to change, I would imagine. Whereas, like, when it's religious, it's something a bit deeper than
sure.
political views, maybe.
Yeah, no,
It,
I
it,
think that's
it
understandable. Yeah, I guess
yeah.
I guess there's a deeper relationship to your religious views, I guess, because it's kind of
That
informing, like, your human kind of experience.
that's it, and that's why I think people are so triggered, because they're just like, oh, it's another example of, like, um, it's another example of people sort of it's not being led down the wrong path, but it's like just showing them the door and holding it a little bit ajar. Like, this is the kind of stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that,
Yeah,
Little Nas X is basically telling people to go and worship the devil. He's not saying that.
yeah, I don't think he is
Um,
at all either.
yeah, man. It's all a bit.
Yeah, because I think it
Yeah,
depends on what you attribute to, like, these kind of images and stuff. Like, so if you see Satan, like, I don't know how, again, I don't know how to explain this. Like, I have it, like, in my head, but I don't know how to kind of get it out. It's like, when you see something and you put this particular value or attitude behind it, it's kind of you're giving it the power to make you pressed, if that makes sense. So for someone like me, if I see the devil in a music video, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't move me any sort of way. It's just, okay, it's just art. It's just a symbol. It's just a part of the color palette, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas for some other people, it's like that is a representation of evil to them. It's completely different to how I see things from my perspective. I'm not seeing it as a representation of evil. I know the history of it, obviously, but for me, I'm not looking at it thinking, nah, I don't want, people shouldn't even see that. Because I see some of that. I see like, oh, you know, we shouldn't even, you know, I don't want my kids to be seeing like, you know, images of the devil and stuff. And it's like, but like, why? You know, I get why. I don't know how to explain like what my questioning to that is. It's like, I get why, but it's like, are you really going to censor people from what they can put in there? Because not everyone works under this Christian framework of morality, you know, or anything like that. You know, it's some people are religious but don't even believe in the devil or hell or heaven and hell. You know, do you know what I mean? Like they might believe in a higher power, but not in the kind of binary good and evil way that some religions frame theirs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so for them, seeing the devil is just, oh, okay, yeah, I know the story behind that, but that's all it is to them. It's just a story. It's like if you put Voldemort in your music video, like, you know,
fair enough.
It's an evil character, yeah, but so what? Unless you genuinely believe he exists, you know what I mean? You know, and you know,
yeah.
But that's not to put anyone down who does believe in that stuff. But it's just, I think some people need to kind of understand that it's not everyone works under that framework, that kind of Christian morality framework where that everyone believes in those kind of sets of I don't even know what I'm trying to say, like in that same way of wrong and right. Because even within Christianity, there's like different sects which believe different kind of things, right? So
yeah. I mean, there are so many denominations of like Christianity and like that I know, like, you know, I mean, you got Baptists, Seventh Day Adventists, like flipping, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, they're all pulling at this. You know, I think every religion is sort of pulling a different part of the same sort of animal, right?
Sure.
You know, I think that there is a universal sort of truth behind religion that like that some shit's good, some shit's bad, and like, you know what I mean? You know, I think that religion is like a guideline as to how to be, like, you know, basically you're here for a short time, so you might as well make it a good time. Like, don't be a twat and like respect the next guy. That's it. You know, be nice to your kids, be nice to your loved ones. You know what I mean? You know, when it comes to, you know, Christianity and say homosexuality, for example, I can see why Lil Nas X is like doing what he's doing. Like, honestly, you've kind of opened my eyes, like, and I'm able to look at things a little bit more differently. But I find that when I can't reconcile, right, why homosexuality is bad.
Yeah.
Just because religion says so. Because, like, you know, we're taught from a young age in, you know, like Catholic schools and stuff, like, you know, God knows everything. God knows who you are. Like, you're made in his image. You know, or, you know, you're meant to be good and stuff like that. Well, if that's the case, why would he make a person, you know, gay or something? Like, because I don't think that. I don't think your sexual preference is a choice. So anybody else that says that, oh, you choose to be gay, well, you're choosing to be an idiot. You are who you are. You're attracted to who you're attracted to, right? And I think that any benevolent God would already know that there would be some people who were gay.
Exactly.
And so he wouldn't punish them for it. Like, I don't understand why religion is so against it. and that's just me. I mean, I just think that, you know, love is the most important thing, right? You can think, I always
Yeah.
talk to people about, like losing loved ones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you know, the love is real, but you forget the bad times, but the love and the good times that you had, that lasts a hell of a lot longer. That lasts
Sure.
lifetimes.
For sure.
Whereas like the bad like kind of fades away. And yeah, man, like that's where I stand on that shit anyway. Like love is the main thing. So why, if it's between a man and another man, a woman and another woman, or a man and a woman, or a woman and a man, what's the difference? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, who
Yeah.
gives a shit really? Like, why is it your business? Who really cares? And you know, some people might. This is the thing, right? This is a good thing about having studied philosophy, is that, and it's a good and bad thing, is that after you study something like philosophy, certain things that people say to you suddenly stop making sense. So, like,
Yeah.
for example, when people say, "Oh, that's just the moral thing to do," in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, is it though? Because I'm just like, how do you ground your morality, and what is your morality based on, and where does it come from, and why do you know that that is exactly the right thing to do? That's already what, 4 questions I've just asked, and
Absolutely.
I need them all quantified in order for you to just sit there and be able to say that is the right thing to do. Are you sure, or is it just the way you were brought up?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
By
This
yeah,
is
by
this is the problem, isn't it? Like you're
exactly.
dealing with people that like to come across as like, you know, I'm hashtag woke, and you know, I'm awake, but you're just basically, you haven't formed an opinion. You've gone onto your socials, you've read a bunch of stuff, and you're rattling that stuff off. Where's your
Right,
critical thinking? Where's your questioning? Like you're
for
just
sure.
taking, say, news stories and the reaction to those news stories as
And
gospel,
regurgitating them. Yeah,
and
exactly.
then you're telling me to my face, who's also seen the same thing. But then, you know what I mean? I can just turn around and be like, yeah, but what do you really think? Because
Exactly.
a lot of people don't really research anymore. And also, bro, we're living in a COVID society as well. People have been locked up. The only
Yeah.
way people can kind of communicate really is by getting triggered by most things. So, you know,
Right. And going on social media and kind of seeing things just quickly, right? And kind of,
yeah,
I mean, that's my problem when people watch like a documentary and then think that they're like the expert on that topic. Like, bruv, like documentaries are great. I love them, but they're part of a bigger piece. Like they're still there's still someone, like a fallible human being who made that, or a fallible set of
mm,
group of people who made that. You know, that's not suddenly like the holy grail of that topic. You know, so it's
that's it.
I know what you mean, and like even you know, that morality thing I was talking about.
Mm,
Another thing that really opened my eyes. I remember someone saying this in one of my lectures at uni. They said, and it's just something I had never thought about before. You know, but you know, when people say, "Oh, but it's not natural." Let's say, for example, in this topic, if we talk about homosexuality, some people argue, "Oh, it's not natural." You know, men and women, um, they create children, right? And that's the point of life, or whatever, right? If everyone was gay, then life wouldn't continue. It's like there's a few issues with that. There's this appeal to nature, as if everything natural is a good thing, and it's very selective. So they use that argument against homosexuality. Volcanoes are natural as well, as are earthquakes, tsunamis, disease, cancer, all sorts of terrible shit that you don't want in your life are all part of just nature. Are you going to cherry pick and just say those things are bad though? I don't want those. But homosexuality, that's not natural. Therefore, it's bad. Does that make sense? Like,
so you're equating homosexualities to country ending, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Okay, bro.
yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is, it's like,
No, I get you, man. I
yeah,
get you.
yeah. So like, it just because something is natural, I mean, doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. I mean, medicine and stuff like that. Like the fact that we have cures for certain things, and we have doctors and hospitals and medication and things like that. I mean, if we were in a state of nature and back in caveman days or whatever, nature would have just wiped out those of us who just couldn't handle illnesses or injuries.
That's natural selection, though. And plus,
Exactly.
you get down the local witch doctor. He'd sort you right out with a couple of plants, boy.
Right, but you know, that's the thing. Like we seem to those people seem to cherry pick when nature is a good thing and when nature's a bad thing, and it depends on what they dislike and whatnot. And it's like, but the thing is, homosexuality is natural. Like I remember I watched this video recently of this guy explaining it, this biologist who had a gay son, and he had never had to really think about the topic before, but it's only because his son turned out to be gay, and he'd never really come across, like, he'd never had to kind of question that before. He didn't have a opinion either way really of gay people, but because suddenly his son was gay, he didn't really know how to handle it. And he ended up doing some research, and he found this. He basically came up with this theory based on his research, was that actually, I'm probably going to end up simplifying it because I can't remember all the specifics, but basically, so human evolution takes a lot longer to take place than like our technological evolution and our kind of intellectual mental evolution. You know, so we've become very, very kind of, we've evolved, our intelligence has evolved, and our mentalities have evolved, and our technology has evolved, our society has evolved, but our physical kind of deep-rooted kind of genetics and DNA and all that sort of stuff hasn't really evolved as quickly, right? So our bodies still think that we live in this state of nature, you know, where we all live in tribes and as big families and whatever else, you know what I mean? So what happens is that when someone gets pregnant for like the third time or the fourth time, basically this theory puts forward that your genes know that you've had maybe 2 or 3 children already, so therefore they create a higher likelihood for the next child to be less attracted to the opposite sex, because they think that, you know, you've given birth to these kids, and these kids are all just going to grow up in the same tribe, and you're going to have to feed them and look after all of them, and then those kids are then going to grow up and have their own kids, and you're going to still have to help all look after those and everything like that. So if you have like 5 or 6 kids, and then all of those kids have kids, that's so many like mouths to feed, that's so many humans to protect, right? Yeah. So apparently what your genes end up doing, well, at least the woman's DNA or whatever system is working in her womb, will start to change the genetic code so that the further along, so if you have apparently if you have a bunch of siblings, the younger you are in your family, the more likely you are to be gay, right? Because nature says, well, we don't want these kids to necessarily have children, because then that will become a strain on the family, right? And then they give those other siblings certain traits, like more higher empathy, higher levels of certain things, which means less friction will be caused. So if you have like 4 or 5 brothers, if 3 of them, let's say 2 of them are gay, 3 of them aren't, that means less fighting over like the same mate, for example, less kind of I don't know, like aggro kind of behavior. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll link you the video because it's so interesting the way he breaks it down. I'm probably butchering it, but it was this really interesting theory that it's all built into nature that gay people would exist, and that there's kind of a reason in nature for them to exist. Just because they, you know, naturally a man and a man can't create kids doesn't mean that there isn't a reason that nature would create them. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I mean, I was going to approach this at a different, like at a more sort of superficial level, and just play the percentages game, like,
right.
And just say that, Christianity, for example, would have, 100% of all men and 100% of all women are going to be straight. But the thing is, like, it doesn't really work out like that, like at all, because you're going to have, say, I don't know, 90% of the men straight, 10% gay, and maybe the same for women. I'm just pulling these out of my brain, but
Sure.
like just play the percentages, because we're not all the same, unfortunately. And I just don't. I do think that like the Bible and stuff, like it's been rewritten like how many times. So that already tells you, well, how much control is being exerted on how many different populaces through the text. So that tells me that, like, a lot of the original message has been diluted and lost, right? But I do think, that, as I said, like already, like basically love is the thing. Like just be nice, and that's it. It's a simple way. But then, bringing it back to the conversation at hand, with Lil Nas X and with, the esoteric nature of hip hop and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I came into this conversation thinking that I had like a stance in that, and now I'm like, maybe I need to chill, because maybe the reason I was so sort of like disturbed by it is maybe because like I don't know, man. Like I just need to relax. Maybe I just need to understand what artistic expression is.
I'm sure we both know like how it works, right? But I think I'm trying to think of an example of things where I'm just like, I see them and I just think, I can't get behind that. If I watch like a music video or something, I'm trying to think of examples, and it might just be like maybe certain things that certain people push, like for example, like I like going out drinking and stuff with my friends, but I do cringe at the kind of dependence on alcohol culture that some people push, if that makes sense. Even though I do enjoy drinking, sometimes when people say certain things, and it always, like the funny story or the joke always has to include, getting drunk and alcohol and things like that. After a while, it just kind of gets a bit cringy for me and turns me off a little bit. And so when I see that kind of portrayed sometimes in music videos or in songs, it just turns me off. But I don't really care enough to start going off about it. Do you know what I mean? I think the difference is that with something that's just a bit of a minor kind of pet peeve of mine, right?
But again, that's more towards, I don't want to say that it's a superficial feeling, but it's more towards that kind of surface level of feelings, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
exactly.
when you are talking about like, God, the devil, religion and stuff, it hits people like just a little bit deeper. Like
that's what I was
all of a sudden, like I've seen stuff on Twitter where I'm like, hang on a minute, you're having a pop, but you're discounting all the good stuff that religion has done. Like the amount of times that people have found like worth or have found a reason to stay alive just because of something else. That is priceless. And that to me is one of the beauties of having faith, right? But I do think that people go too far, and we have a tendency as human beings to overprotect and overproject our feelings and stuff, and we need to be able to kind of limit ourselves a little bit and just be like, well, hang on a minute, like what, how are you approaching things? So yeah, man, it's just
100% agree, man, especially that overproject thing that you just said,
because fucking hell.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just got a message from Lucifer the devil.
I know, I just saw it.
Well, hang on a minute, we've got messages like, John, I'm not going to play them all, mate, sorry. Sorry, bro. I'm going to play. Yeah? Oh, fuck it. All right.
Let's go for him.
Hey, KD, you make a bit of sense there, a little bit. Yeah, it is, but it is interesting, though. Yeah, it's just interesting, like you say, like that. Yeah, it's just very interesting.
Oh, shit. That was a long time ago. KD, you're interesting, bro.
Good.
It's definitely a mix of both the sexuality and the devil thing, and religion is definitely all kind of three. Because, yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I understand the point of being respectful and things like that, but we are all unique, so not everybody's going to agree. What I find now is that you can't have a debate or talk and, pass logical opinions to one another and debate things like you should. And I do feel that is a problem nowadays. like people do not put their points across. If you're wrong, they just say you're wrong and shout. To win the argument, they will shout on top of you.
That is a
Not
big
only
problem
that,
on Twitter, definitely,
they'll
like on
be
Twitter and stuff.
abusive.
Yeah, sometimes on Twitter, I'm just thinking like I have to remind myself like this is not how a lot of people in real life in general conduct themselves. Because sometimes I'll be there thinking, wow, these people are going hard, and then you think, and they're genuinely. I think that's 100% true. There's genuinely like this
Oh my
culture.
goodness. Bro, I've just thought of a really cool music video for one of your music videos if you ever do it.
What?
What you should do is you should have like people in the video literally screaming at each other, and what it would be is like their tweets to each other like as captions, and then you
Oh,
would
okay.
actually see what it would look like in society. Holy moly, it'd be like
Yeah, actually,
28 days later.
if you saw it in real life, that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's just everyone just people go on Twitter and then just say something like it's a fact, like, and you're just like, what? And then they just get like-minded people who jump in on the comments and be like, yes, and they do the clap emojis and stuff. And if you see that often enough, you start thinking, shit, maybe that is a kind of popular opinion, or shit, maybe that is just, maybe I am just kind of missing the mark on something. And then you realize it's just like a very small percentage of people who are just in their own bubble, who are obviously going to agree with each other. You know, whether they're right or wrong, I don't know. But you're right. Everything feels like it's becoming homogenized. And sometimes it does feel like, even in the case of opinions, it becomes like that. I'm not on the other side where I'm not like the guy who's like, oh, you can't even have an opinion nowadays, blah, blah, blah. I'm not like that. I mean, you know, I think you can. I think just things like Twitter and social media and stuff, maybe because you have to be so brief when you kind of explain yourself, it leads to this kind of, it just leads to shouting matches and people always just going at each other as opposed to trying to understand each other, if that makes sense. Like, not even just understand each other, but try and understand the other person's view and actually challenge what they've said. Because I see this all the time.
Yeah.
Like Question Time. I fucking hated watching that. Like on TV, I remember like whenever they would do Question Time and they would have this random panel of people. And I remember watching an Akala interview where he said, yeah, they don't even pick the panel based on the topic. They just pick the panel. And then you go there and it's like, oh, we're talking about this topic. So when he was on it, like, he didn't even know anything about like that much about Brexit and the customs union and all this sort of shit. So he was kind of just there like, yeah, I don't know about this stuff, so I can't really answer it. Do you know what I mean? But like on that show, I used to see people just try and, it used to actually be like Twitter where instead of likes, people were just trying to get big applause from the crowd. That's what I always used to feel whenever I watched that. It's like, it wasn't about actually coherently arguing a point and actually countering kind of what someone had said. It was just about saying the most kind of, I don't know, applause-worthy thing and saying it in the nicest way and saying it in the coolest way and saying it in a way that sounded powerful and profound. And then actually, when you really watched it back, you thought, wow, that guy just said fuck all. He just wanted applause. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's fishing for new sort of like new audience, you know?
Yeah, it feels like that on Twitter. People just say
Fishing
shit.
for likes.
Yeah, but on Twitter it's for likes. That's the equivalent of the applause, right? And then people see the likes and the retweets and think, maybe this guy has a point. It's like, no, it doesn't matter how many people are retweeting or liking the tweet. Just like it doesn't matter if everyone's applauding in the crowd.
Well, unfortunately, we are victims of like social proofing, right? So if you see a tweet, you're more likely to, you know, if we remain within the realms of Twitter, you're more than likely going to like a tweet or see a tweet if it has how many thousand likes and retweets and stuff like that. And also like it's very much like on those panel shows. Yeah, whoever gets the most applause, you kind of you kind of favor them a little bit more. Yeah.
And it's annoying because it's like, especially again, going in with like the philosophy brain, you just think, yeah, okay, but that's just an example of like an ad populum argument where just because which basically is like a fallacy of that, if just because loads of people believe a certain thing doesn't add any weight to the truth of it, right? Or it doesn't add any truth to the statement. So, you know, but I don't think it's very hard to see that sometimes, because you have to see through the applause and see through all the likes and stuff, because especially now everything's so fast paced, you kind of need that to kind of see, well, what are people engaging with, and you kind of have faith that maybe everyone's kind of, I don't know, like everyone's kind of engaging with the right stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. Kind of what's similar to what you said. Yeah. Wow, we've got 7 voice notes in this shit. Like,
yeah, I know, man. Sorry, let's go for it. Next one's Chris, the absolute ledge that is Chris. Oh man, so we're going to basically talk about this for the next 5-10 minutes.
With the Lil Nas X one, is there a case like Marilyn Manson of caught in relevance by controversy? I mean, would this record have got anywhere near the media coverage without the video and the shoe link? I don't think so.
Fucking A. What a great point.
yeah. Well, what do you think?
Oh, to be honest, no, it wouldn't have garnered the popularity, not at all. This would have been another forgotten song, probably. I couldn't even tell you what the tune is. I can tell you what the video looks like, though.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, you know, I see people bring this up, and thing is, I get it. Like, I get why people do it, because I mean, it's just marketing, right? It's just you're trying to pull attention to it. And is there anything wrong with that?
Well, also he's like 21 or like really young.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a bit more risque and stuff. Like, you're going to be a bit more.
If it fits with his personality, it still feels authentic to him, in my opinion.
See, yeah, I mean, I wonder how much of it is him and how much of it is record label and stuff. Like, I would, you know, I'd love to know, because like there's been so many tales of artists going up to, you know, they're going off to shoot a video and they've got no idea what the context of that video is.
That's true.
You know,
that is
it's
true.
just been put on there by the record label who are doing like the, you know, by the numbers generic video. You know what I mean? Like scantily clad women, booze, club, bit of pyrotechnics and cars.
Yeah, a few bangs, a few flashing lights and stuff. Just I know what you mean.
Oh, and gold chains and spinny chains and stuff like that.
Of course. Yeah. Gotta get close up on that. Definitely.
And got to, and like women twerking and stuff. Like it's the staple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The feeling I get is that, for some reason, Lil Nas X kind of came up with this idea, and then the label kind of fully backed it. I don't know. That's the impression I get. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just maybe I've just pulled into the persona. If he's created a persona, then I guess I've just pulled into it, just by seeing his tweets before all this. Because I mean, he hasn't really done that much controversial stuff. If I'm thinking back in memory before this, I mean, he's just put out music, and Old Town Road was big because I think it got the remix with Billy Ray Cyrus, whatever his name is. And also it was like a country hip hop song. So it was kind of weird. It was very catchy. That was like a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But I don't remember. And then it turned out he was gay. Like, okay, yeah. So those things combined, yeah, great. You know, and then he's just very active on Twitter. You know, he posts some funny stuff. Like, it's just the way he writes it and the way he makes his jokes. And he's just very again, you could say it's all part of the plan, but like, I guess I pulled into it. But I mean, this feels like, to me, when I watch it or when I see the conversation, it feels like something he created, and then the label kind of was like, I can imagine the record label being fucking elated by it. Like,
they were like dollar sign.
Yes, like, perfect. We didn't even have to do anything. Just do whatever you want. You know, I can imagine it going that way just as much as I can imagine it going the other way around, where they tell him, yeah, you know, we need you to do this and make it super controversial and blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? I reckon he could have come up with that shit himself, and they were just like, yeah, man, fucking do it. That's just gonna bring us more attention. That's gonna, you want to put a drop of human blood in your trainers? Do it, man. Fucking do it. You know, that's just more recognition. We don't care. I can imagine it going like that as well. I mean, is it wrong, really, of him to kind
Well,
of do it for the attention and controversy? Like, or if the fact that it does attract controversy, you know, based on what Chris said, that had it not had this stuff around it, would the record have been as big? No,
nope.
probably not. But is there a problem with the fact that it did bring attention to it?
I suppose it's the manner, maybe.
Like,
It's like,
intentional. Like,
even I was a bit like, hey, whoa, I don't know about this. You know, my son ain't going to be watching that for a long time. Not till he's ready. You know what I mean? But, right,
yeah.
we're getting voice messages. Let's just plow through them.
All right, let's go for him.
Let's go.
Hey, the Devils in Tenacious D's video, the tribute.
I thought about that, but I thought, wait a minute, and he was a demon, not the devil. But anyway, fair play.
Well, hey, look, I know this is another voice message. I am a bit religious. I do believe in God and stuff. But I do understand the way the world is and works. And part of religion, if you truly follow it, is to try and understand and follow others and not force stuff upon them. Let people learn. That's kind of like the grace. I don't know if that makes any sense. I can't explain it properly because I'm a bit tired.
That makes
John,
sense to me.
perfect sense. The fact is, it's kind of that thing. Like I always go back to this quote by Morpheus, and he talks to Neo in the Matrix, and he says, "I can only show you the door. It is up to you to walk through it." Boom. That's just what it is. Like, just open people's minds up to it and just say, look, this might have happened to me. This is something that helped me out. Maybe it'll help you out. If it does, great. If it doesn't, also great. Like, do you know what I mean? You can't force stuff on people. Absolutely right, John.
I've never understood even how you'd get anything out of forcing stuff on people. Like, even forcing people to like the music you like. Like, don't you feel weird or uncomfortable about the fact that you've forced them to like it? Don't you feel so much better when someone actually comes back to you and says, yo, that thing you recommended me is actually sick. I fucking love it.
True that.
You
Well,
know?
I must admit, though, my poor son, he will Rage Against the Machine
That's a
will be
different
played.
relationship, though. Because
So,
if my kids don't like MJ, then chuck them out.
nah, sell him, man. At least make some money back.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need them. I mean, all that fucking, you know, sleepless nights and nappy changing and all that shit for you to come with that disrespect. Nah, sorry. Out of here.
All right, next one.
I'm half
And also
joking.
on the religion front, the Pope, the recent Pope Francis also says that we should respect the gay people, gay community as well. I'm not sure if you know about that.
Yeah, because they are God's children too. Like, this is the thing. You don't choose to be heterosexual or not. That is out of your control. You
I
are
can't believe
or
it's
you're not.
2021 and we have to state this. Like, bro.
It's crazy. To me, I honestly, it's one of the biggest things. Like, I got an auntie and she's like really, really religious, and she said to me once, "Oh, being gay is a choice," and I was like, "I don't think you understand your own argument. What are you, auntie? You're heterosexual, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Did you choose to be?" She's like, "No, I just was." Case in point. Like,
Exactly.
And then we are honestly, we argued. Anyway, look, I don't want to get triggered. Right,
No,
next one.
It's already proven. Hey, it's already proven that you're born gay. You're born who you are. Definitely.
Amen.
literally. Like my thing, that theory thing that I was talking about is just an extended kind of in-depth if you want to know what it is, but like it should just be a given, kind of like you're born and that is just you. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and I don't know if there's like an actual gay gene or anything like that, because I think I saw something recently where it turned out there wasn't like a particular like gene that it gets turned on or off or anything. I don't know if that was true or not, but it makes sense if it's like a combination of kind of whatever genes you get from your mom and your dad come together, kind of formulate whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, or not even just that, because it's your sexuality is like a spectrum, right? So some people are further along that way, some people are further along the other way, some are more in the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can't even then box them up like that. It's just your mix of genetics, which you didn't choose to get. You just got some from your dad, some from your mom, and that mixture then creates something new, which is you, which then also leads you to becoming maybe very ambitious, maybe not very ambitious, maybe more prone to I don't know, being very physical or not very physical, maybe being prone to being more softer in nature, maybe a bit more harder in nature, you know, all these different things that you didn't really choose that are kind of set up for you through your genetics and whatever. I think your sexuality is a part of that. It's not just a straight up gay, not gay. It's just where kind of on the spectrum are you? You know what I mean? Like,
True story.
that should be fucking given by now, man. I don't want to get triggered either, but let's move.
So is that how Arnold Schwarzenegger had a baby? I see.
I don't know what he's referring to there.
Yeah, when did that one come through? I'm trying to think of the context.
Oh man, that was like nearly 20 minutes. That was over 20 minutes ago. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger making babies. Do it now. Come on. Little Nas X. Anyway.
All right, we've got Lucifer up next.
Oh boy.
Yo. Let me just put this out there real quick. I just want to put it out there because you talk about the devil and how the devil take over people real quick. Because this dude, Lil Nas, I don't know if you ever heard of him, the one who was singing the Old Tower Road song. He came out with some sneakers, right? And he put the name Satan on it and have a drip of blood on the bottom of the sneaker. And then 3 days later, he came out with a song. I forgot the name of the song, but you should watch that video. It shows a lot, and he sold his soul, showing that he really sold his soul to the devil.
Well, yeah, probably. He probably did, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, there's a few things to unpack there. One, this guy's account is literally called Smokey666, and his name is Lucifer. He basically said all these things that we've already mentioned.
Yeah. He
So,
ain't been paying attention.
Yeah, so either he's not paying attention or he's trolling.
Yeah, man.
I need to know. Yeah, I mean, there'll be something interesting to look into, but I mean, I think sometimes also as human beings, you can create patterns, and we're kind of built to see patterns as well in things that maybe actually aren't there. So we might kind of...
bro, like when it comes to this kind of stuff, though, so many different people say the same shit. Bob Dylan said that he made a deal. Bob Dylan said it.
Yeah, but even Drake said that he had a meeting. He said this in this kind of off the cuff interview, and he said, "Oh yeah, I just had him. He's like on his way somewhere." And people like put up a camera in his face, like, you know, oh, Drake, blah, 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 paparazzi stuff. And he said, yeah, I just had a really good meeting. I can't really explain what it was. It was a secret one, but yeah, everything should be really good. And then he kind of blew up, like literally almost straight away after. Now, those two things are completely separate things. But you could then put them under this bubble of, well, ooh, what's this secret meeting? Blah, blah, blah. You know, a lot of secret meetings have happened before, and then because it's secret and because it's private, you can basically fill in as many gaps as you want in whatever which way you want, and then we can create that pattern, you know. So it depends, you know. We need hard evidence for this shit. Like, I get
it's not going to be. Singers are telling you in their songs what you're talking about. Eminem said it how many times?
Yeah, but again, do we,
bro, come on.
Are we throwing out like this concept of metaphors and symbolism only when we talk about this?
No, sometimes shit is exactly what it says on the tin. Sometimes it might. Do you know what? Like, I've always been, as I've grown up, right? I've been like, you know, something is not true and something is completely true. But usually the truth is in the middle.
Sure.
So maybe it could be metaphorical, or maybe it could be. I mean, look, MJ said it. Big Pun said it a lot. Like, there's a lot of. Okay, DMX even said it a few years ago. He's just like, yeah. I was in Arizona when I met the devil. It was, and people think that DMX is a crazy man. He's a crazy man, but he might be spitting some real truth.
He could be. Anyway. It depends what, you know, they say. You know, again, like, when you say MJ said it, you're referring to the song in The Line and Money?
Yeah, I sold my soul to the devil. Come on, MJ said it.
What
Anyway,
no, what did he actually say? He said, you anything for the money, die for you, die for you. I'd even sell my soul to the devil. So he's talking from a perspective of someone who sells out, and then he names all the people who have not looked after, who've just done everything for money. That sounds a bit more metaphorical to me, because he starts naming like Trump and all these people at the end of the song, like you lot are just out here scamming people and trying to just do everything for money, throwing your principles out for money. It sounded like in the chorus he was talking from their perspective. Do you know what I mean?
oh, I thought you said I sold my soul. Anyway,
He
all
does.
right
He
then.
does say that. He does say that in the chorus. But what I mean is, I think in the chorus he's singing it from, in the
Their
verses when he's doing
perspective.
that kind of, in the verses when he's doing that whispering kind of talking thing, it's like he's saying it to them, and then kind of when he sings, he's switched the perspective. That's how I always took it whenever I heard it.
Too bad that song is absolute. That's literally Michael Jackson's worst song. Like, it's so below anything he's ever done.
Which song?
Money.
Money.
Yeah,
That's
I hated that song.
Oh, you hated it?
Yeah, sorry. When I say hated it, I thought it was passable, but I would skip it. It'd be the only Michael Jackson song I'd ever skip.
Really?
Yeah,
I used to love that shit when I
literally.
was younger, man. I love it.
I can listen to anything. But anyway, all right, let's crack on with these last three.
Okay.
Look, fellas, the devil does exist in the music industry. We cannot change the other things what the devil's trying to do. But the only thing we can change is that the fact that how we put our music out there, and then the things that we present and stuff. Like, for example, we can't change what the devil is trying to get to us. It's what we were trying to put in this world. Like, I learned that from a long way, homie. So I'm just saying, like, what you guys are talking about is really true. The devil does exist in the music industry.
I found that really hard to hear. Actually, sorry, bro.
Yeah. I was trying to pull the points out.
I guess he's saying that he's saying that the devil does exist, and like
in the industry,
that
but
was literally all I heard.
Yeah, but I think you're saying that the devil is in the industry.
In all fairness, right? I can only go with gut feeling. Like, I do think there is something that's not great. Like, here we go. Like, when I think of like bands that have gotten like massive and stuff, and they've been so blatant about like where they stand. Death Grips are unashamedly like satanic, and they are huge.
Sure.
And I think there's a reason why you've avoided their music, maybe. Because you don't vibrate on the same frequencies that they do. They are low vibration.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just never feel for that kind of. I keep always in the back of my head, like, to get into it, like just to listen to it, just to kind of see what people are talking about. I just
yeah. Listen, when we do our podcast, I'm going to give you an album, and you're going to be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I'll be forced to then listen to it. But that guy, when he's talking about the devils in the industry and stuff, again, this is the thing. When people say this kind of thing, it's like, look, I can take this two ways, because, I've heard people say, oh, that man there, he's the devil. And they just mean, it's, again, they're using it symbolically as a representation of evil. That guy has no fucking principles, and he will just do anything for this and that. I hear my partner say it. I hear my people, my family say it. I hear it just in general.
Sure.
So, when I hear that, it's not enough for me to sit there and be like, oh yeah, man, yeah, maybe it's true. Maybe there's an actual fucking demon. Like, that's just going to go against all of my kind of intellectual security, or whatever the word is, or the term is, for me to just sit there and just blatantly believe that. Like, I need to understand what people mean when they say that. Are you coming from a place of belief? Are you coming from your perspective? Are you coming from, when it's people in the industry who come out and say this, then I kind of give it a bit more credence, because I'm like, okay, I need to ask a few more questions. Like, what are you trying to say exactly? Because if we go through the kind of almost the scientific method or the philosophical method, and we break it down, and it gets to a point, where it's like, nah, man, like some weird satanistic shit happens in the industry, and there is this fucking devil I've actually seen, and everyone worships and stuff like that, then okay,
Yeah,
fine. But I feel
yeah,
like there's
yeah.
a lot of breaking down to get to that part, because it's just so embedded in our language to just use the word devil and stuff to just denote kind of evil or bad principles that we don't vibe to.
Yeah, we use it as a pejorative, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need more.
Yeah, go on, bro.
No, I was just saying I need more. If you're going to say that kind of statement. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Good point. Good point. I mean, I do subscribe to your way of thinking, definitely. I just go back to my earlier point, just saying that if something feels like a certain way, then it probably is. And you know what I mean? Like, always follow your gut, and your gut will rarely ever lead you wrong. So,
Sure.
you know, it's just something that I remember the first time I saw it, and then I was like, that's not really sitting right with me.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Like, you hear like of these like pop stars and stuff like that. I think even Katy Perry said it. Like, you know, I was once, you know, listening to Christian CDs, and then I sold my soul to the devil, and now I'm famous. It's like, wait, what? You just dropped that in there? You know? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's whether it is the literal devil or selling of one's, you know, the selling of one's
kind of principles, like, or one's character,
principles, or yeah, exactly. You're basically, you know, a prisoner of the industry. You can't do anything. You're so famous, you can't go anywhere. You live in hotel rooms. You live an isolated life. You can't be normal. But you're going to be idolized. You know, maybe that's the deal, sort of thing. You know, your freedom for your life, sort of thing. You know, it's weird.
The thing is, I'm sure that happens in the industry. Like, I'm more. That just sounds so much more like, yeah, that's how I feel. That probably is what happens. You know, it's just when we come into this conversation, there will be people who will say that no, there's an actual fucking devil and demonic stuff happening, and I'm just thinking, is this being shaped by your perspective? Like, maybe did you grow up in a religious kind of upbringing, or are you kind of just in a world that kind of everyone kind of grows up with some kind of religious kind of influence bearing down on them, unless you live like you grow up under a rock, you know, especially I think in the Western world, like we can't really escape it, right? You know, I remember in like primary school and stuff being told about like heaven and hell and God and the devil and stuff, and it's only in hindsight when I think, what in the fuck are they talking to little kids about this stuff for? Like, is this just a scare tactic to make us behave? Like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
well, no, definitely. I think that religion is a form of control. Like, there are elements of it which is definitely used for population control. As Karl Marx said, religion is the opium of the masses, and I do think I subscribe to that idea on some levels. I do think that it is a mode and a method of control, but it's also on a deeper level, like a way of, if you're able to sort of like look past it, there are fundamental lessons there, and I think that they're taught in every single religion. To be honest, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm well versed in Islam or Judaism or anything like that. I'm not claiming to be like an expert. I'm not even an expert at flipping Catholicism. Do you know what I mean? I think growing up, like, but what I pull from that, having met, you know, representatives and people from, you know, other religions, is that there are fundamental similarities, and it's just, you know, as I said, there's something bigger than you. Recognize that you're a little bit, you know, have a bit of humility, be a bit humble, and love. You know what I mean? And that is the way that I think that we can, you know, if there are, you know, dark forces and stuff like that in you know, music and the media that we consume, you know, the way that we can counteract that is actually being nice to our neighbor and actually just kind of keeping that stuff like at bay.
Higher vibrations, that sort of stuff, right?
Higher vibrations, yeah, exactly, man. That's the way forward. All right, let me press on with these voice notes. We have another one. Bear with me.
Shady and D.A. Renor just want to stop through to show you keen some love. Hope you experience a lovely day on today. And until next time, enjoy the journey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cool.
Nice of you to drop by.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Well, nothing too. The label is he has to get all of his money the way it's supposed to be, regardless of the fact that of what he's doing. Because when you sign to a label, you have to put all the things you get to put a lot of music out there so you can get paid. And then what it is that, like, if you really pay attention to it, major labels, or to do what they're supposed to do to get that person out there more, and they can do whatever the fuck they want, and then they can support it. So like, regardless of the fact that that's true, you're surprised, but at the same time, don't ever be surprised with what people do, because this world is coming to the where it's nothing surprises me no more as a person. But I'm just saying.
So I think I feel like what they're trying to say is that like the labels just want, basically you have to make a lot of music in order to get paid, and because then the music is the product of which the labels use to kind of sell and market you, and they'll do whatever to get that attention to you in order to get that money so that they get paid as well. I'm guessing that's kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, that's it. You're kind of a slave, both spiritually and mentally, maybe.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, we were just talking about that, right? Like, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I think he was commenting on what we just spoken about.
Oh, did that come through recently?
Yeah, that came through 20 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, we got to.
Yeah,
we got to get better at. We should do these like as they come through, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we should not let them pile up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, last one. Last word goes to JP.
So that Arnold thing was coming when you're talking to the reference of the genes and stuff that come in the study.
Oh, I see. I'm a freak. Do you know what I mean?
People like him.
He won the genetic lottery.
Yeah, literally. Like obviously, like when people say things like, "Oh, people are genetically predisposed to be, more religious or more ambitious or more this or more that," it doesn't mean that if you're not predisposed that way, that you can't be that. It just means that I guess you're kind of a bit further behind on the starting point at the race, if that makes sense. So you just have to, if you're genetically predisposed to be like a bit lazy, then you just have to work 10 times harder to kind of not fall into those habits of, how people like have addictive.
Yeah, but I'm lazy, so I can't be asked to work, bro.
That's true. It's true. What exactly are you supposed to do with that? But it's like with addictive personalities and stuff, isn't it? Like people know they have addictive personalities. They're predisposed to that way of being, so they remove themselves from kind of habits that make them fall into those kind of destructive tendencies, isn't it? But yeah, why did we even talk? Oh, because we were talking about homosexuality, innit?
Yeah. And you were talking about the genetic markers there.
Yeah, that relates to this video. Yeah, like the thing is, I'm trying to wonder if there was a version of this video, of Lil Nas's video, which had no reference to the devil or Satan or hell or anything like that, but it was still sexually provocative. I mean, he's in drag like in it as well. So, I mean, we have to remember this is a gay black man in hip hop. Basically, he's like making hip hop rap music. I mean, I guess you could you would classify it as rap music, right? So, I wonder if people would go at it the same way for, the fact that he's dressing up in drag, or the fact he's being overtly sexual, or that he's really showing that he's really like showing off how gay he is, if that makes sense. Like he's really just putting it on the nose. If you took out the Satan part, or you took out the going to hell part, but he's just giving another man a lap dance or something, I wonder what the conversation would be. Would people be, I wonder, I don't know if this is just, I don't know if I'm being a bit biased here, but I wonder if people would be a bit kind of on edge about saying how uncomfortable they feel, because they wouldn't want to come off like they are homophobes and stuff like that. I feel like some people are using the devil and hell imagery as a cover so that they can just complain about the video, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, I think that it's a deliberate, provocative act. Simple as that.
What do you mean? Like, as in the fact that
the video having the devil in it, like doing that, it's provocative.
Okay, so they know that it would. So, but yeah, but that then does that tie into what I'm saying then? That would people have take that element out, take the devil out, but everything else he's doing in that video, keep it the same. Just take the devil out.
I actually think if he was giving another man a lap dance, then it would still be. I still think that would be a provocative. That would still be provocative, maybe not to this level, probably not to this degree.
Yeah.
It
would still be provocative.
It definitely would be, because it's not something that, while we are seeing, a lot of inclusivity, like on television, and lots of in TV now, loads and loads of gay couples, like absolutely everywhere, right? But you still haven't really. Not that I pay attention to a lot of musical videos or anything like that, but from what I see, I don't really see, men twerking on men. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I do think
it's not common.
Quite provocative.
No, I get that. I just wonder if a lot of these people who are kind of jumping in and like on Twitter and stuff and complaining about the satanic or devil imagery feel a bit more what's the word, like justified, that they can in their approach, because they can use that, where actually I'm sure that they're kind of pressed about that, but also I wonder if it would have been a bit harder for them to make as much of a noise about it just for it being a man lap dancing on another man.
That's a really good point. Well, to be honest, Twitter is a cesspit. So I mean, people would just say it.
Yeah, but I feel like this is much bigger, though, right? I feel like this is like the conversation has made its way so much, like kind of far like widespread, and it's like it's a bit. I think I genuinely feel like people are using the whole satanic thing as a means in order to just kind of complain about the video. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure they are genuinely pressed about that part, but then they can kind of lump the other parts in after that, like, oh, he's in drag, and oh, he's lap dancing on men, and he's being really openly gay or whatever. But it's their messaging is a bit more justified, especially maybe in places like America when it's still like heavily Christian or whatever, for them to say
under the umbrella of
we can just say we don't like the satanic vibes, when it's like actually there's a lot of things you don't like about it, but you're just using that as the kind of way to message your opinion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. I just think it's bad vibes, to be fair. That's just where I stand. And I can't quantify it with a reason. This is a hill, yet another one that I would happily die on, bro. I don't know how somebody's got to do like a drawing of me, like dead on about 20 different hills. Like Rage Against the Machine is the best band, like one of the best bands ever. Hill died on, like the devil is bad vibes.
Stuff. Yeah, full of just stuff. Yeah, Rage Against the Machine. This video, bad vibes. I can't remember some of the other hills that he died on.
I've died on so many.
So many. Yeah. But it's interesting because, like, I agree with you, that whole kind of going with your gut and your instinct thing. But I think there's a nuance to that. So there's like, I think I can't remember. Again, there's so many people out there that explain these things so much better than me, because I'm the one who learns this stuff from them, or takes this stuff from them. But like, I remember reading about someone breaking down that whole trusting your gut thing, your gut instinct, and he was like, yes, it's good to trust your gut. If it's like, say, for example, for me, when I'm making music, it's something I've been doing for the longest time and I'm deeply entrenched in it. I can comfortably trust my gut on that when it comes to decisions being made in that. If I was in a brand new territory, yes, I should listen to my gut, but this guy was putting forward the idea that potentially that gut instinct you might have may get clouded more easily with like certain other outside external influences and stuff. Because I can imagine people saying, yeah, in my gut, I didn't like this video. Not you in particular, but certain other people. And then you kind of find out that they had a very religious upbringing. Do you get what I mean? So like that may have been clouding their reaction. And maybe it's not a gut instinct. Maybe it's just a reaction that they had, right? Because for me, like I don't get any gut instincts when watching this. I'm just like, okay. Like maybe a few years ago I might have, because I might have been more kind of tuned into thinking that, yeah, that's just kind of bad vibes, bad imagery. Like that shit used to freak me out when I was younger, like when I was kind of in my kind of religious phase, I guess. But whereas now it's very much like, okay, it's just art. Do you know what I mean? Like it has a completely different reaction to me. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like I just don't get the bad vibes.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
just interesting, like as in like the difference in the perspective of people. You know, like I really, you know how we talk about sometimes like how certain people, when the way we kind of navigate through life as non-white people, it's like almost mind-blowing to think that there are people who out there who don't have to go through those same thought patterns that we do, or the same kind of things in their minds, because they just have the privilege of not having to ever have done that. And it's almost like, what the fuck? You mean you never ever had to think like that? I can't even fathom that. You know, it's almost like that with this. Like I just can't imagine what it's like. Well, actually I can, because again, like I said, I went through like my religious phase or whatever, but like I can't imagine now like being kind of getting that kind of reaction from it. That doesn't make it good or bad just because I didn't have the reaction. It just means that it's just weird how different it can be.
For real, man. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. But yeah, so who's on our final, would you say final voice note?
This is our final one. GP 6 minutes ago. We're doing well.
It was thought out but clever. I believe it's not to be controversial, it's just to get out to those people that, you know, this is like life. You know, there's different things around. Like the normal status quo is not the normal thing. And, you know, trying to, just get people to talk about it. But in some ways it's talking about it good, in other ways it's bad. It depends on how the person takes it and points of view. But it is interesting though. I really like it. I probably would speak better person to person with KD, but yeah.
So I think he's talking about the like whether or not it was like a plan by the record label and that, right?
I don't know. I mean, it could be either one, man. Like I can imagine this going either way, that he came up with it first and they jumped on it like, yep, let's do that. Or that they came up with it and converse, you know, in the same way. I can imagine him being like, yeah, man, I'm down for that. It just fits. It seems to fit his personality.
Yeah, definitely. So,
yeah, it could just be an artistic thing, you know what I mean? And
that's what it feels. Again, you're talking about gut instinct. That's what it feels like for me, personally.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, now that I've been speaking to you, my initial gut instinct was, it's bad. You know, it's clearly showing that, you know, there is a correlation between like Satanism and popular culture. But now I'm like, this might be subversive. But the thing is, I can't ignore like everything that's kind of gone before it, though. Like there are certain traits and stuff like that you can, you know, there are certain things in music videos that you can link to, like, you know, Masonic belief systems and, you know, ancient Egyptian gods and stuff like that. Like you could go into all kinds of esoteric stuff. Like Royce da 5'9" has in some of his freestyles, he's mentioned the Anunnaki and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can't believe he knows about that kind of shit.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy who knows, right? Like,
Yeah,
I just hear that
but
word and think that sounds sick. But yeah, as in just the actual word. Because if anyone's gonna rhyme that shit, it's gonna be Royce.
yeah, man, for real. Like there's this freestyle that he did for, oh my goodness, is it the LA Leakers show?
Yeah,
I
probably.
don't know if you.
Yeah,
He looks smooth as hell in that
yeah, man.
video, and he just rapped, like the rapping is just, he's so comfortable. It's just so easy. Like
Yeah,
it's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. But yeah,
yeah.
anyway,
His
like
Funk Flex one. He's yeah. But yeah, anyway,
oh,
yeah.
the
So
Funk Flex one is top drawer, where he's just like, yeah, Funk Flex just told me to come in. Like, I'm sorry if there are going to
yeah,
be any curse words. Yeah, brilliant.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't have time to prepare. I just, I was sleeping. This guy
Yeah,
woke me up.
I believe it.
Yeah, he's like, I was minding my own business, being peaceful. I was sleeping.
Oh, he's a legend.
But yeah,
All right,
yeah. What a guy.
let's. Well, we've been going for an hour and 43 minutes. Oh
That's
no,
usually
tell
the
a
kind
lie. We haven't. Minus 7 minutes.
of okay. Well, that's kind of standard time we've done for these kind of live shows.
Yeah,
But
bro. We got
should we
Chris,
play the last?
the
Yeah,
Oracle. Bear with
before
me.
anyone else comes.
In it, David Reno on the
Yeah.
ones and twos.
I wonder
Bang.
how much of the controversy is because images of the occult aren't really associated with hip hop. I mean, as a metalhead, those kind of references and imagery are frequent in the metal genre, and so it kind of washes over. I don't think really, it's not the main context of the story. How much of it do you think it is because this isn't a rap associated thing that's causing a problem?
I think that's a big part of it, for sure, man. Because I think that it's like people aren't. I don't think people are accustomed to just seeing that, you know, like in their kind of popular music. I guess it's whereas yeah, he's right. If you just saw that kind of stuff all the time, then it'd be like, yeah, whatever, man. Because I mean, there's so much stuff in hip hop that we just kind of wash over. I mean, even again when we talked about the Eminem thing, it took, like I said, it took for like a friend of mine to be like, oh, I don't like his domestic abuse lyrics or the sound effects of when like the woman is getting stabbed, and I'm thinking, huh, what? I was just so used to hearing it,
Yeah,
I didn't even
I've grown
realize
up
it
with
was
that.
happening. Yeah, I just didn't realize it was happening, and then until someone puts it in your face, you're like, oh shit, okay. They're not used to that. That's the equivalent. They're not used to hearing that, And in hip hop, there's so much shit that we're just so used to hearing. Listen to a lot of 90s hip hop, and you're gonna hear like the FAGGOT word. You're gonna hear, Batty Boy. You're gonna hear all sorts of shit about women and gay people and whatever else, right? And
Listen to
it's
early
just,
Buju Banton in the reggae. Like,
yeah, you were talking about that one time. Yeah, like it's just so normal, right? Doesn't make it right, but it's just normal, right?
yeah,
With that culture, I think that's a good point. I think, and also that also brings up another question, which we probably shouldn't go into, but which is that as hip hop has become one of the most popular kind of genres in the world, would something like metal ever become as popular, like on that scale, that it's like the most popular genre in the entire world? Like you just hear it all the time and everywhere
I think
because
I
even though it has that kind of imagery and stuff in it.
you're talking about. Do you know what I think? I think metal is just as big as, like, rock and roll is just as big as any other form of music. I think it taps into such a primal part. Like, the reason I'm heavily into like metal, rock and stuff like that is, like, Chris used to show me a hell of a lot of it, and I found it myself as well. It appeals to me just on a primal level. There is something about like heavy down tuned guitars that just floats my boat. You know,
No, I get
I,
that. I get that.
I don't think it will be as, it's not as accessible like as, say, like, your popular hip hop or your popular music, but I
Yeah,
do
that's what
think
I mean.
it's just as big. I think that it's not on a level where you hear about it in everybody's life, in like like radio stations and stuff, it doesn't lend itself to that. But I do think there's a hell of a lot of, like, especially nowadays, everybody's into everything nowadays. So I do think that um metal is humongous, just as much as any popularized form of music.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not gonna sit here and claim that it's not. Like I mean the most, when I say like one of the most popular genres in the world, I mean like how hip hop has become today, where you just hear it everywhere, and in in the background in places, in in some like shops and stuff like that. It's just kind of considered normal now that your kids will listen to hip hop because it's just the popular music. Whereas like a few years ago, it wasn't always like that. Do you know what I mean? It was still big. It had a big following. It had a big fan base. But whether it was the most popular genre in the world or like the zeitgeist, that's it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like hip hop is the popular culture, right? It feels like it's informing a lot of the popular culture. And
Sure,
I guess
sure.
in terms of like metal and stuff, that what Chris said kind of made me think like, I wonder if it could, because I always think, I wonder if another form of music would ever happen, would like, I'm sure hip hop its reign will kind of potentially fall off at some point. I wonder what would replace it. And so that kind of made me think, I wonder if like, imagine you just swapped out hip hop for metal music, and that's what you heard everywhere. That was the popular music. Like everything was informed by that culture. Do you get what I mean? I wonder if that would even be possible because of the kind of imagery of it and everything. If it, like you said, it doesn't really lend itself to that potentially. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really cool way of asking a question, man. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
sorry, I got the wrong end of the stick. I'm blaming
no. I didn't explain my thing properly, because
I think you did. My comprehension levels are just like 2 out of 10. So my bad.
It's because it's 10 to 10. That's why, bro.
It's not only that, man. Like fighting off this cold. It's not corona. I ain't got the rona.
Keep
It's
forgetting.
got cold.
Let's hope. Yeah, because you'll be one of those statistics that we're going to start seeing, which is going back into lockdown 4 because COVID cases are rising.
Oh my goodness!
Fucking hell, David! Like you gotta get that shit yourself.
Do you know what I mean? All you needed to do was isolate, mate, and now you've made the country go lockdown, and they've stopped flights coming in or out.
Yeah,
all because of you, bro.
Yeah, fucking hell, David. Okay, all right. Well, we haven't been able to escape. There's another voice note.
Here we go.
I don't think metal would take over the world. It's an extreme end of the rock spectrum, in the same way that battle rap isn't you don't hear that everywhere on every radio station. It's an extreme extension of a larger culture.
Yeah,
well, exactly. There you go, Professor.
Cool. Yep, that's a good way of putting it. A larger extension of existing culture.
What I like about Chris,
yeah,
is that we've taken 10 minutes to decide that, and he in 5 to 7 seconds has just done it. That was basically what I was trying to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, man. Maybe it should be the K and C exchange. Like, you don't need me anymore. It's just Chris.
Yeah. Why couldn't he have come? Oh, I was about to drop the where we used to work. But yeah, why couldn't he have come work there?
Because he would have slaughtered. He would have slaughtered people. Like, genuinely, he would have just got up and just started punching.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't wish that on anyone to work there, but yeah. Cool. Should we outro this?
Yeah, man. Cool. Right. The one thing that I can do well.
Yeah. What all your friends listen for.
Huh?
It's what everyone listens for.
Yeah, man. They want the sultry tones. All right, cool. This has been, yeah, man, for real. This has been a this has been awesome. I love these chats. I really do look forward to Thursday nights.
Sure.
If you are still with us, thank you so much. If you've recently joined, like, thank you so much. We hope you've enjoyed the chat. We've covered everything from the esoteric nature of hip hop to, metal, homosexuality, religion, the whole 9 yards. And it's been a blast. We really, really thank you for your participation as well, to those that have left voice messages. Yeah, man. I mean, if anything, catch us on our usual podcasts. We'll be releasing that on a Tuesday. This chat will come out next Wednesday. And then we will be live again, not next Thursday, as it's KD's birthday. Happy birthday, mate. But we'll be back the following Thursday, and it will be a lot of fun. And
Sure.
Matt, we got one voice note. All right, hang on. Got to play it. Let's bang it.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be something like that. I knew it.
Man.
On that note.
Thank you so much for that. That is a rhythm as well.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. Peace.
Peace.